You certainly know this investigation more intimately than anyone else does. You covered this for years. And as I just laid out there, the investigation did not establish the Trump campaign coordinated or conspired with the Russian government in its election activities. It, more importantly, did not exonerate the Trump campaign and led to multiple convictions and guilty pleas from people that were in his inner circle. What was your reaction to the passing of Robert Mueller and what his passing means for this chapter of Trump's political life?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, you guys. It's a real privilege to be with you on this topic and on this night. There aren't very many people for whom I would say this, but it is the end of an era. Robert Mueller is the last in a line of people that I don't think we'll ever see the likes of again. Simply just the fact that we had a FBI director for 10 years, and in his case, 12 years, the longest serving FBI director since J. Edgar Hoover, after he was appointed during the George W. Bush administration, then extended by the Democratic president who came after George W. Bush, who couldn't have been more different than George W. Bush, Barack Obama. There just aren't very many figures like that in American public life anymore. There aren't very many, and I don't mean this in a sort of personal or mean way, but there aren't many lifelong rock-ribbed Republican public officials who are most known for their propriety and their nonpartisan competence and willingness to rise both above party and above, I think, personal intention. And so he feels like he's from an older time in our history. But that said, the legacy that I think weighs most heavily now at the time of his passing is what happened after his FBI tenure was done with the Mueller report. There's a reason on a day like this we need to remind people what was in Mueller's report, what were the results of his investigation. And that's because of a failure on his part. That is because once his investigation and his report were concluded, he was just wildly outmaneuvered by a really serpentine attorney general named Bill Barr, who played really dirty pool when it came to the handling and release of the information from Mueller's investigation. Mueller, I don't know if he was blindsided by it or if he thought Barr was a good guy and would be a straight shooter on this, but Barr absolutely buried him in terms of the impact of that report. And given the way that Bill Barr became Attorney General, Mueller and his team should have seen that coming. If they did see it coming, they should have come up with a way to outmaneuver Barr while he was outmaneuvering them, and they didn't. And that bureaucratic failure is the most important thing in American history about the Mueller report, not his findings, but the way they were submarined by in my opinion, disreputable, dishonorable set of actions by the Attorney General who handled the release of that report.